In the face of danger or perceived danger and stress, our bodies instinctively react in various ways, commonly known as the fight, flight, freeze stress response. However, there's a lesser known aspect of the stress response, the fawn response. The fawn response involves appeasing others. In other words, people pleasing as a way of avoiding conflict or gaining acceptance, often at the expense of our own needs and boundaries. It's an intricate survival mechanism that's deeply rooted in the psyche of many people, with roots embedded in early childhood experiences. In this video, we'll delve into the fawn response and people-pleasing in more detail, and I'll also be providing some strategies for how to tackle it. I'm Jo Banks. I've been a professional executive business coach for 15 years, and I'm sharing what I know. Fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. Traditionally, the stress response has been simplified into three main reactions that most of us know about: fight, flight, and freeze. When faced with a threat, real or perceived, we might choose to confront it head on, fight, flee from the situation, flight, or become immobilized and unable to act, freeze. However, researchers have now recognized a fourth component, the fawn response. Incidentally, I have a full video on the fight, flight, freeze stress response and how it rarely looks like bopping someone on the nose, running away, or hiding under your desk. I highly recommend that you watch that if you're interested in this topic. I'll leave the link below. The fawn response, also known as the appease response, involves seeking to please or appease others as a way of avoiding conflict or gaining approval. Rather than assertively confronting a threat, fight, avoiding it, flight, or becoming paralyzed by fear, freeze, you may exhibit the fawn response, engaging in excessive people-pleasing behaviors to maintain harmony or psychological safety. The people-pleasing spiral. We can't talk about the fawn response without talking about people-pleasing. People-pleasing often starts, in fact, I've never known it not, start with parent-pleasing. During childhood, caregivers serve as our primary source of safety, nurturance, and validation. In environments where love and acceptance are conditional upon meeting certain expectations or conforming to specific behaviors, children often learn to prioritize pleasing their parents or caregivers to secure affection and protection. I've been very open in previous videos about my tumultuous upbringing. Love was very conditional in my household. If I wasn't a good girl, if I didn't do exactly what my mum said, if I didn't clean the house, do the laundry, do the cooking, preempt what she needed, even at a very young age, then love would be withdrawn. My mum would tell me off, she would give me dirty looks or even ignore me, sometimes for days on end. That upbringing turned me into a people pleaser, something that I constantly have to work on even now. I call myself a recovering people pleaser. What was an adaptive tool as a child, in other words, pleasing my mum so that I didn't get told off and she wouldn't withdraw her love, has become maladaptive in adulthood, and all of this goes on in the subconscious. So, unless we do the work, become aware of why we're doing what we're doing that isn't working, and actively choose to change it, our childhood behaviours become stuck and we repeat them literally for the rest of our lives. Now, I'm very well aware that my childhood experiences were extreme, and I need to point out that they don't have to be anywhere near that extreme to create a people pleaser. I've also seen the adoption of people-pleasing tendencies as a way to help and support a chaotic parent or caregiver when someone grew up in an unpredictable household. I was recently delivering training to a large group, and I was talking about the fawn response and people-pleasing when one lady stated that she thought her daughter was a people-pleaser. However, what she told me was, my daughter gets lots of attention. She knows she's loved and there isn't any conflict in our home. So that can't be right. Your idea of childhood adversity can't create people pleasers because my child is a people pleaser and she gets lots of love. I asked her if their household was chaotic. Is she often distracted? And does she sometimes express her discomfort in front of her daughter? Of course, the answer was yes. So in this example, the child is highly empathetic. She sees her mum's discomfort and is attempting to make her mum's life easier or as easy as possible by doing whatever she can to make her happy. People pleasing. As children grow, this pattern of seeking external validation can extend way beyond the parent-child relationship and manifest in interactions with peers, authority figures, and even romantic partners. The desire is to avoid conflict, gain approval, or earn love, and it becomes deeply ingrained, shaping our interpersonal dynamics and self-perception throughout the rest of our lives. Understanding the development of the fawn response. Several factors contribute to the development of the fawn response. I've already mentioned a couple, but let's look at them a little further. Early childhood experiences. Children raised in environments where their emotional needs are constantly dismissed, invalidated, met with hostility, or not met at all, learn to prioritize the needs of others over their own as a coping mechanism. They may internalize the belief that their worthiness is contingent upon their ability to please others. As in the example I shared about the person who'd been on my training course, some may even develop people-pleasing tendencies as a way of supporting a chaotic parent. Attachment styles. Attachment theory suggests that early interactions with caregivers shape our attachment styles, influencing how we perceive relationships and regulate emotions. Children with insecure attachment styles, characterized by a lack of trust and emotional responsiveness from caregivers, may develop a heightened sensitivity to interpersonal dynamics and a tendency to prioritize others' needs to maintain a sense of connection. As babies and children, we are 100% reliant on our primary caregivers, usually the mother, for our survival. If the mother is distracted, stressed, unhappy, their ability to connect with their child and give them the physical and psychological safety they need is severely restricted. There are 4 attachment styles: anxious, often referred to as preoccupied; avoidant, also referred to as dismissive; disorganized, often referred to as fearful, avoidant; and secure. People with anxious attachment styles often adopt people-pleasing tendencies. I think I definitely need to do a whole video on attachment styles at some point because it really does deserve its own video. So watch out for that. I'll add it to the list. Social conditioning. Societal norms and cultural expectations also play a significant role in shaping people-pleasing behaviours. From a young age, individuals are socialised to prioritise harmony, conformity, and cooperation in social interactions. Messages promoting self-sacrifice and putting others' needs before your own are pervasive in many cultures, reinforcing the tendency to engage in people-pleasing behaviours. Of course, people-pleasing can be adopted by both genders. However, social conditioning typically affects females, especially in patriarchal cultures. The impact of the fawn response. While the fawn response may initially serve as a protective mechanism, enabling individuals to navigate challenging social situations and maintain relationships, it can have a massive detrimental effect on mental and emotional well-being over time. Boundary violations. People who habitually prioritize others' needs may struggle to assert their own boundaries, leading to feelings of resentment, burnout, and even overwhelm. They may find themselves constantly overextending themselves to accommodate the needs of others, neglecting their own needs in the process. Low self-worth. Chronic people pleasing can erode your sense of self-worth and identity. You may become disconnected from your authentic desires and values. The constant quest for external validation reinforces the belief that your worthiness is contingent upon meeting others' expectations, perpetuating a cycle of approval-seeking behavior. Difficulty saying no. Individuals with a strong fawn response may find it challenging to assert their needs or say no to requests, fearing rejection or abandonment. This reluctance to set boundaries can lead to feelings of powerlessness and resentment as they struggle to prioritize their own well-being. I struggle with this one. I simply was not allowed to say no or set boundaries as a child. It would bring down my mother's unholy wrath, which could be very scary, especially as a small child. So saying no without going into long-winded explanations is something that I continually have to work on. And I see that a lot in clients as well. If they have to set a boundary or if they have to tell me they can't do something, they will go into great detail explaining why. Overcoming the fawn response. Breaking free from the grip of the fawn response requires conscious effort to cultivate self-awareness, self-compassion, and self-assertiveness. Self-reflection. Reflect on past experiences and patterns of behavior to gain an insight into the roots of your people-pleasing tendencies. If you watch this channel, you'll know that I'm a great believer in the power of journaling. When you journal your experiences, thoughts, and behaviors, you begin to see triggers and patterns. Explore how early childhood experiences and societal influences have shaped your beliefs about self-worth and relationships. Write about your people-pleasing experiences so that you can recognize the triggers and the patterns and actively choose to do something different going forward. Awareness is everything. You cannot change what you're not aware of. You can tweak the 6-step process or journaling prompts that I discussed in a previous video regarding overcoming self-sabotage. I'll leave a link below for that. The 6-step process briefly is number 1. What are the circumstances where I feel I need to people please? So you're going to journal that. Number 2, what is the belief or thought I have around the need to people please? Number 3, where does that thought or belief originate? You may have to dig deep into your past for this one, and it can sometimes be helpful to do that with a coach or a therapist. Number 4, is the need to people please still valid today? Little bit of a note here. It won't be valid. Number 5, what's a more realistic reaction rather than people pleasing? Number 6, what action can I take today to overcome my need for people pleasing? Next, we have setting boundaries. Practice asserting your boundaries and saying no to requests that conflict with your values or overwhelm your capacity. Communicate your needs clearly and assertively, recognizing that setting boundaries is an act of self-care and is not selfish. Setting boundaries can be challenging in any type of environment, but especially with loved ones. I have a video on setting boundaries at work. The link will be below. I also have several articles on my website at jobanks.net where I discuss setting boundaries with parents, friends, and other family members. Again, the links will be below. One thing that's really important to remember when you start to set boundaries is the people who have the most to lose by you setting boundaries will be the ones who are most upset. Don't let that derail you. Self-compassion. Be kind to yourself as you navigate unlearning deeply ingrained behavioral patterns. Practice self-compassion and cultivate a sense of worthiness independent of external validation. I have a video on self-compassion because I know a lot of people don't really know what that means. Again, the link will be below. One thing that's helped me with overcoming my people-pleasing tendencies, and although it might be tough to hear because it definitely was for me, is that people-pleasing is actually highly manipulative. After all, you're doing things for people to get them to like you, support you, validate you, or to avoid conflict. That's manipulation. My favorite tool for overcoming people-pleasing tendencies is one that I use every time I feel the want or the need to do something for someone else. Over the years, I've given away so many things due to my people-pleasing tendencies. I would get so upset with myself, even as I was doing it, but couldn't seem to stop. Now, if I find I'm about to do something for someone else, especially if they haven't asked me to do it, I ask myself, am I doing this because A, I want them to like me or validate me in some way, or B, because it's the right thing to do and it will make me feel good? If the answer is A, which it often is, I don't do it. I move on. If it's B, of course I do it. Seeking support. Surround yourself with supportive friends and family members, therapists or coaches like me who can provide you with encouragement and guidance as you work on breaking free from people-pleasing habits. Limiting time around negative people and the people that trigger you can help you break free from people-pleasing tendencies. I know it can be difficult if those negative people are close family members or even work colleagues with whom you have no choice but to spend time. However, you can still learn to set boundaries with them. And again, I've got that video on boundary setting, and there are different articles on my website that you can go away and read that will really help you step by step through setting boundaries. The wrap up. Overcoming the fawn response and the inevitable people-pleasing that accompanies it is not an easy journey. Still, it's a necessary step towards reclaiming agency over your life and cultivating authentic, fulfilling relationships. By prioritizing self-awareness, self-compassion, and assertiveness, you can break free from the people-pleasing cycle and embrace your true self with confidence and authenticity. Your worthiness is not determined by your ability to please others, but by the inherent value of your unique, authentic self. Remember, if you find yourself leaning towards people-pleasing, ask yourself whether you're doing it so that the other person will like you or think better of you, or because you really want to do it. What next? If you have any words of wisdom on this topic or any questions you'd like me to answer, please leave them in the comments section below. I really love interacting with you all and really value your feedback. If you enjoyed this video, please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss a thing. I've got a whole host of new videos and topics coming up in the next few weeks. However, if there's anything in particular you'd like me to cover, again, leave it in the comments section below and I'll add it to the list. Finally, as always, a huge thank you to everybody who stays until the very end, and thank you so much for your continued support. It really does mean the world to me. Thank you.